Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back. Here's a look at the Jason X custom 6-scale figure from Galactables. While Evil may be busy getting an upgrade, I'd like to first really thank Daniel at Galactables, and a heartfelt thank you again to Tinela at Tinela Customs for allowing me again the chance to have a look at one of their amazing custom horror 6-scale figures, this one being the Jason X Jason Voorhees. Not one of my favorite of the Friday films, but still an incredible figure. I can't wait to show you guys the closer details on him. Now, they have collaborated in the past. They still continue to collaborate, and they also as well are doing some future projects. The orders, unfortunately, for the Jason X Jason Voorhees have already closed, and customers are getting all their orders fulfilled. This one actually is being lent over by Daniel. Shortly after this review, I will be sending it back to Daniel. If, by the way, you haven't already followed them on their socials, you are, first of all, missing out. Daniel's doing some amazing work over on Galactables, his YouTube channel, where you can check out some of his custom horror 6-scale figures. And, of course, you can always follow Tinela on her works on, of course, Facebook and socials as well. I'll provide all those links down below in the video description. To get this review certainly underway, first I did want to show you guys the fact that he is on a display stand. A display stand is not included with a figure, but he does come with his own fair share of accessories. We're going to grab as well the tape measure and see how tall the figure actually stands. He seems to be exactly 12 inches in height, or Jason X's Jason Voorhees is 30.5 centimeters tall. Outside of the custom carefully foamed pack box that Jason arrives in, customers who were lucky enough to be part of this limited run would also find inside the following things: a certificate of authenticity directly from Galactables, signing the project off for Jason X. Edition size for this particular figure is actually 8 of 9, and the year release is 2024. Tinela also as well contributes her own certificate, featuring her signature in the bottom corner, the opposite side November 2023 for her release, and the contributions that she made for this collaboration were the trousers, the shirt, the jacket, the inner suit, and 2x machete. The thing I also really like that she always does with her certificates is that she also includes little sample swatches of all the fabrics that she used. You also as well get yourself a certificate from Macabre Art Studio indicating that this is a 1/6 scale Jason X and comes included with the frosted head. Is it the frosted head that you're thinking of? It is the frosted head that you're thinking of. And you also as well get yourself a sticker to be included there as well. Jumping now over to Jason's accessories, the figure doesn't include not just one, but 2 different types of machetes, an interchangeable hand, but by far the coolest accessory, no pun intended, is that he actually comes included with the severed head remains of Adrian. Not only one of the most memorable kills in the Jason X film, but some would even argue one of the most memorable kills in all of the Friday films. He takes Adrian's head, proceeds to submerge it in liquid nitrogen, and then from the camera shot looking up, we can see the character's face freezing over. I love the way they've replicated this in the smaller head. First of all, I do like also that they've made it where the head is attached permanently onto the hand. So if you want to have Jason carrying around the severed head, if you wanted to, it's just a case of removing a hand from this side of his forearm and replacing it with this one instead. Now, it does also have rooted hair on the back, which is really nicely done here. But probably the most interesting aspect of the face, like in the film, you can actually have it smashed. Well, don't want to really actually smash it. What you do is the next best thing. You just remove the front of the face, and you can see the gorier interior on the one side, and even on this other side I think is really neat because you can almost even make out the eye holes, the nasal cavity, and what's left behind of the mouth. Now, you can also carry it around just like this and have Jason carrying around the head and just leaving the face off completely. This is, by the way, also attached by magnets. So you can feel there's a secure attachment here to the top of the head. But I think if I was to have this figure in my collection, I would probably just think it'd be a lot cooler to have him carrying around this smashed face like this. And again, it's just a case of removing the hand that he has on this side and replacing it with this one instead. Just because this is a loner figure, I don't want to take the time to do that just yet. Maybe we'll do that for final looks. We'll just move Adrian's head off to the side here. The figure has also as well an interchangeable hand for this side of the figure's body. He has a closed fist, but if depending on where you wanted to have the machete, or hey, why not? If you want to have the figure displayed with 2 machetes, you just again remove the hand on this side and you replace it with this hand instead. One of the notable traits of Jason in this movie is the fact he has fingerless gloves. And again, you got yourself a fingerless glove, interchangeable hand that can be swapped out with this side of his body. Let's now talk machetes. Okay, so Jason has 2 different machetes in the film. He has sort of the more basic go-to Jason machete before he becomes Uber Jason. This, if you can believe it, is actually metal. This whole blade is metal, while the end of the handle looks like it's actually been done, I'm guessing, in plastic. Sort of does have a plastic feel to it. It's a really nice and also very heavy machete that can also be carried around in this hand, or again, like if you wanted to, you can also have him carrying around in this hand also as well. As he gets later into the film, of course, he gets blown away and then reconstructed into Uber Jason, and then he has sort of a metallic, all-metal version of that same machete. It's obviously a little bit different than the machete that we start with. Completely different type of blade. I love that this one has a curved blade to it and has little holes on the end of it. But this is something, of course, that we get later on to the film. I'm wondering if Daniel and Tinela are planning maybe to do an Uber Jason. Probably would be a little bit more elaborate of a suit to try to construct, but Jason would then go with something like this for his machete instead. With that all being said, for his accessories, we'll kind of just move everything out of the way, and obviously I'm sure you guys will actually want to see what Jason looks like. Let's pick him carefully up off of his display stand and get a closer look at the head sculpt. Now, the head sculpt is removable. At least the front of his face is removable. We don't really get the chance to see Jason really unmasked in the movie. I mean, basically we see him this at the beginning, and then eventually when he becomes Uber Jason, we then see what he ends up becoming instead. But Jason in the movie has some rather interesting elements to him, one of which being the fact he does actually have a real eye. He actually is seen looking around the room. It's an interesting looking, very different type of hockey mask as well, whereas this particular hockey mask had the notable flat front face to it, which is nicely being done here as well. The work that he put into this mask is astonishing. I just can't believe the amount of work that he not only sculpted the mask, but also painted it. You got some damaged parts there on the side of the face. None of these wounds, by the way, other than really just the gash that he has somewhat on the top of his hockey mask, are get carried over from the other films. But you kind of see a little more of the influence here from maybe Jason Goes to Hell, kind of in the way that the mask is kind of molded to his face. Also kind of the way that you can see for how long he's had the mask, how it sort of has left an indentation on the front of the figure's face. He also has as well all these rooted hairs there on the back of the figure's head sculpt. Again, the hockey mask is removable. The strap is a little more of a softer material that they've used, so it's not going to give you any problems at all when it comes to actually removing the hockey mask. You want to see what it looks like without the hockey mask? Okay, so let's just take this off carefully. And even though we really don't get the chance to see this in the film, I'm sure he probably went to look at source material, maybe seeing images online of what Jason actually would have looked like underneath the hockey mask, and it's pretty gruesome. He has one dead eye on one side, but again, he's got a fully functioning eye on the other, completely scarred on one side. Exquisitely detailed, again, by the talented work by Daniel. I love the face sculpt also that they've given for the mouth down below here. This face, by the way, is movable, so you can move it back and forth. Again, I'm going to be very careful with actually the way I'm going to be moving and talking about the articulation on this figure, but just a fantastic looking head sculpt. Really wish I was part of this campaign. Really wish I had jumped on this and I had the funds available to get on board this. Not a big fan of Jason as he appears at the beginning of Jason X, but I gotta say, like, the figure itself looks incredible. He does have as well the restraining collar. My guess is they probably put the restraining collar on and then put the head over top of it. It's pretty close to the neck. It is nicely painted there as well in silver. He's also got the hanging hooks that he has on the shoulders, which he sort of is suspended by. Tinela, of course, contributed by including the jacket. This is something, of course, that she made. The jacket has sort of a tackiness to it. It's pretty close to the suit that he has underneath, so it doesn't really have a lot of give to it, but you can see like all the little rips and tears and stuff. They did their best to try to destroy Jason, realizing the only alternative was really to freeze this guy. I really like the way they've done the jacket. Again, it's sort of got like a bit of a crispiness to it by whatever they've adhered over top of the material. It does still give him some freedom when it comes to moving his arms and stuff around. Like, he can still bend his elbows and stuff like that. And he also has, of course, the restraining cuffs down below here on his wrists. Down below there as well. If we move this kind of just carefully out of the way, you can kind of almost get a little bit of the inspiration that they would have gotten from like Jason X, where like essentially Jason X, he would have had like a coverall suit and then they would just divide it in the middle with the belt. Having the gray on the top and the gray down below here in the pants kind of again gives me sort of the vibe from Jason Goes to Hell. All these nice little rips and tears that they've also added to the material itself. There's even functioning pockets on the side. I don't really know what Jason's actually going to be storing inside those pockets. He's got a little belt there also on the side. Like, the attention to detail. If, again, you aren't familiar with Galactable's work, definitely check out his channel. Just the attention to detail on all of his figures that he's really producing is incredible. As we move a little bit further down on the figure as well, there's a little bit more slack to the slacks that he has. Just moving these also up as well. You can see as well they've sculpted brand new shoes, brand new footwear for Jason. Very large shoes, very large feet also as well. And they've even also taken the time to scuff. Daniel's scuffed up the bottoms of the shoes as well, so it looks like Jason's been walking around in these for a long, long time. Okay, so I'm going to do my best again to kind of look through the articulation on this guy. I don't really want to ham-hand this guy too much, just because, again, I'm going to have to pass this guy back off to Daniel after this review, but I'll kind of do my best to kind of talk a little bit about the articulation. So the head's going to be on a ball joint. It does move back and forth. It does move up and down. Obviously, if you have purchased this figure, you're probably going to feel a little bit more confident moving this guy around than I am right now. He has a hinge joint in his shoulders, so the shoulders do hinge out. For all intents and purposes, you would be able to, again, move the arm forward and back. I'm just not, again, going to do too much to this because I just don't want to damage the figure. He has a hinge in his elbow. My guess is, from what I can actually feel here, he's probably got like a double hinge in the elbow area. And again, like the hands rotate back and forth there as well. Upper torso, I'm guessing, would be a ball joint. I do want to also stop to tell you guys there's a fair bit of not padding, but a very muscular body underneath. So Daniel probably used a very large torso piece when it came to producing Jason, because you can actually feel like his pectorals right here. He's a very large, thick figure, which would work really well considering his Kane Hodder's frame. Legs do split outs. Again, I'm not going to move them too much. You can move them forward, you can move them back. There's a swivel at the top here. Double hinge on the knee. And again, when you get to the feet here, just moving them up a little bit, there's also a ball joint here, allowing the leg to really freely move back and forth and up and down there as well. It's a great figure. Let's go ahead and get his hockey mask back on. I'm sure most people are looking to get this guy, or have already ordered this directly from Daniel and Tinela. Probably have the plans, I'm guessing, to display this guy with the hockey mask on there. Just again, I really like the attention to detail. I have to really go online and see if there was images of Jason unmasked like this, where there was this neat looking indentation. Very much, again, kind of reminds me of Jason X Jason, where like the mask he's worn so really long that it's now embedded itself into his skin. And I just love this kind of little outline crease that he has right here, where the mask has been sitting against his head for so long. Let's go ahead and put this back over top of his head. Now, again, this was a limited run figure, as usually is the case when we do have a look at these collectible releases with Tinela. I mean, they make these in very limited runs. If it is the case, like the certificate of authenticity indicates that it's a 9-figure release, kind of would have been ironic if they had done 10 figures, because, of course, Jason X and all. But the fact that they had limited release this, people have already got the chance to get on board and back this figure, and they're probably getting all their orders fulfilled. Reluctantly, with the cost of sometimes these custom figures, and they're certainly well worth it, I really wish that, like, in hindsight, having now seen, I'm a big Jason fan, I'm a big Michael Myers fan as well, and with the amount of work that not only, again, Tinela and Daniel put into this piece, really wish that I had gotten behind this when I had the chance. If you guys certainly are a fan of Jason X, like the way he looks as he becomes Uber Jason, or even just the way he looks before he becomes Uber Jason, what an incredible figure this is. Again, smaller in size, as a 6-scale release, and it comes with some pretty interesting accessories. By far, my favorite of the accessories, even though like the machetes being all metal, nice touch, is that they actually took the time to include Adrian's smashed head. Something that if I had the chance and I had picked this figure up for myself, I definitely would have displayed with him. Not being able to resist the urge. As we wrap up the review here for the custom Jason Voorhees from Jason X, of course I had to have the figure displayed with the frozen head remains of Adrian in one hand and the metal machete in the other. It's not until you actually have one of these figures in your hand that you realize there's hours and hours behind every single one of these figures you look at. It isn't just a case that Daniel's working his regular hours. He's probably working overtime to produce the kind of pieces that we're looking at in these reviews. From head to toe, Jason looks finished from all the sides. And with the benefit of having a custom figure as good as this one, also you get to see details that you wouldn't be able to even see in the movie. I would imagine he probably did some extensive research in order to acquire images of what Jason would actually look like under the mask. You don't really even get the chance to see Jason under the mask this one movie. Usually it's always the case that Jason is unmasked, but ironically enough, you don't see that in Jason X, but you get the chance to see it here in a 6-scale figure. Between what he's doing and then what Tinela's doing with her amazing costumes on these 6-scale figures, the collaboration between the two, we've already seen one example of that with the Rob Zombie Escape Michael Myers. We're now seeing it again with Jason X Jason Voorhees. If you get the chance and you have the funds available, I didn't have the funds available at the time of wanting to get on board backing this one, but if you have them available, you want to reach out to Daniel, kind of see what he's currently doing. Don't worry, I'll provide all the information down below in the video description. If you guys want to follow them over on their socials, definitely subscribe over to Galactables on his YouTube channel. You can see what Daniel's doing right now. I mean, he's probably producing he's making a few other projects. I can't quite say what they are, but definitely if you want to guys follow him over on his channel, follow also Tinela over over on Facebook and also her other socials. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming from the two of them. I mean, having one being so talented in clothing and then the other one being so talented in sculpting 6-scale horror figures, it's a happy marriage between the two. Big thank you again to both Daniel and Tinela for allowing me again the chance to have a look at this. This guy, again, he's already been fulfilled. All of the customers have already been getting their figures. I think they're shipping them out now to the customers shortly after this review. Again, reluctantly. I only jokingly say reluctantly because, again, now seeing how good this guy was in hand and being such a big Jason Voorhees fan, I really wish that I had the funds available that I could have gotten this guy for myself. But this guy will be, in fact, shipped back to Daniel. And again, a big thank you for allowing me the chance to show this here. What do you guys think of this figure? Is this the kind of thing that you guys could see yourselves picking up? Have you guys already been collecting, whether it be stuff from what Daniel's been doing in Tinela, or have you guys been collecting other horror custom 6-scale figures? If you have, let me know down below. What are you guys collecting? And also as well, if you guys did enjoy this video, want to hit a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, and you certainly do want to stick around for more, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you turn on the bell notification. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.